Welcome to our video series, which highlights companies and how they have been using technology to transform themselves and differentiate themselves in the market. I'd like to introduce my good friend Ryan Taylor of Paramount Acceptance. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Great. So last year, I remember us having a couple of conversations about just how Paramount Acceptance was identifying some new needs in the market, specifically around consolidating multiple apps into a single app or into a single platform. How has that journey transformed your relationship with your clients?
That's a good question. It's been a fun journey. I guess to give you a little bit of background on that, about 2 years ago now, we identified a need for a single software. A lot of fitness centers and gyms use various pieces of technology or vendors to be able to run their business. So that may be, on the front end, a prospecting style tool for potential members and how to communicate with them. They may use a different piece for their marketing and communications with their prospects and with their members. And then they may use a different software for the member management side of things, checking in at the gym and everything that deals with the member's account as far as demographic information, billing information, and so on, any of the services that they have at the gym. So we saw this need and decided to invest and come up with a single, invest in a single piece of software to help that entire process. And it's been a fun journey for us. Here we stand today, and the last major piece of that will roll out here early Q3 for our clients. And to answer the question directly of how it's changed our relationship with them, it's been interesting as we go through this process. Everybody has a little bit different way that they do things. And so there's been some customization that happens there, which is great because it allows us to engage our clients and talk to them about solutions specific to their needs. And then they help us, we partner with them and they help us through that development and testing process to have a more full-fledged, more robust tool that allows them really to migrate from these other tools to ours wholly.
That's great. So you really pulled your clients into the kind of research, development, testing, beta testing, redevelopment. That really does show the relationship you have with your clients to be able to pull them into that process.
Yeah, there's been a select group, I would say, that we've done that with, that they have the experience in the industry and the technical know-how to kind of help us partner in that process. It's been fun to see the product develop. It's certainly more mature, quicker, in my opinion, than it would have been otherwise had we not engaged our clients like that. And sure, they appreciate it too, right? I mean, for them, it's fun and exciting to see, oh, hey, that was my idea, and here it is in the program.
Yeah, and everybody likes to provide their opinion, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So I was originally going to focus this video and your experience around utilization of OneDrive and SharePoint, but given the challenges that most organizations are going through right now with COVID-19 and the pandemic and the incredible pressure it's put on organizations to make change, especially moving workers into that work from home model. I thought I would just pivot this and focus on the process that Paramount Acceptance went through, both internally from identification, strategy, and externally from an execution standpoint of moving employees, identifying actually, and then moving employees to a remote office.
Sure. Yeah, that's been fun for us. And it's been a challenge, I'm sure, for everyone, similarly. So I guess to talk about that, let me give a little bit of additional background on that too. As you and I have talked about this in the past, and some of the things that we've done over the past, frankly, 3 years have knowingly and unknowingly helped prepare us for this time. You know, in IT, we operate with the agile methodology, right? And so part of that is that iterative process, looking for improvements. And that's often been our culture and how we approach things. And we're always looking for a better way to do something or a new tool that will help us be more productive. And so about a year and a half ago now, we made a move from Slack to Teams, just for a communication style tool initially. And then we started to find all of these other options and features available to us within Teams that really play well for us and our technology stack. We're a Microsoft shop. We run a SQL Server on the back end, and Microsoft operating systems and technologies all the way through our technology stack. So Teams fit very nicely for us. Previous to moving to Teams, we'd made the move from a Team Foundation server that we hosted on-prem to what at the time was Visual Studio's Team Services, and is now Azure DevOps in the cloud. And those two, that pairs nicely as well. The move to Azure DevOps has been great for several different pieces for the IT department. Anyway, back to Teams specifically. So IT, we made this move about a year and a half ago, and in the transition there, we started to experiment with a lot of different things, a lot of different features. Certainly part of that is the Teams aspect of it, right? Prior to Teams, we had held a daily stand-up meeting for everybody in the department.
Sure.
And we took, depending on the day, anywhere from 10 to 40, 45 minutes going around the room, talking about what everyone was working on. Well, in moving to Teams, we actually did a digital version of that, where everyone on the team, everyone in the department would go into their associated team within Teams, and they would post what they're working on and any challenges or roadblocks that they were running into. So what that did was actually a little bit counterintuitive. There was some reluctance on my part, particularly, to move away from bringing the team together like that every day and moving it to a digital format. Well, actually what it did is it allowed more time for collaboration amongst the teams. Sure. And there was more proactive collaboration happening. One developer may say, hey, I noticed that you posted that you were having issues with this. I worked on that 3 months ago. Let's talk about it. So that's been something great. And in our journey with Teams, what we found is we started to become evangelists internally for the Teams product. Sure. And we started to talk to other groups and departments about that. Well, that became very timely about 6 weeks ago. We've given some demos to the operations group, which is where the call center is. And the call center is a very high touch environment, right? There's a lot of questions, there's escalation that's happening. It's very dynamic when it comes to communication. And we pitched the operations group about getting Teams fired up so they could use it and communicate and collaborate in the call center. And there was some reluctance. They've been using Slack for quite a while, and they like what they have there. Well, as this need came about to move the call center to a remote call center, Teams became a necessity almost for several reasons. One of which is the ability to communicate and collaborate like we do on an everyday basis and do these video style chats. The other part actually relates to OneDrive. And, with training materials and documentation and those types of things, that's all on a shared network drive while they're in the office. Moving to a remote workforce, we don't want to open up the network like that for everybody remotely.
Oh, absolutely not.
And that's the other part of this, right? Like there's a security component to this remote workforce that certainly for IT, it's top of mind all the time. And so being able to put those documents into OneDrive and have those training materials available to the entire call center. They don't have to worry about versioning anymore, which was always a challenge with, I'm going to email this out or it's on the network drive, but you got to go to this specific place because it's a new document. All of that goes away. The ability to collaborate on the document through Teams in OneDrive together has been great for the call center as well. So as far as a strategy goes, we in some ways unknowingly had the strategy in place to facilitate a quick move for the call center to work remotely. It came about very quickly. I remember the week well. On a Monday, everything was fine and normal. On Tuesday, we started to see stuff kind of moving and changes happening. We were headed to a trade show the following week, and there were some changes happening at the trade show where they were limiting vendors and those types of things. And so we got together as an executive team and started to talk about some high level strategy. And then come Wednesday, I was meeting with my network admin and my tech support manager and the operations leadership group to talk about how we facilitate that. Thursday, we're doing it, and we're getting machines ready to go out the door. Friday, we start rolling people out in waves to work from home, and the following week, everybody's working from home in the entire company. So it was a long week, a lot of long hours, and a lot of quick moves. However, we had been preparing ourselves over the past, 2 or 3 years to be able to facilitate that quickly.
Yeah, that's really really interesting. And the key word in the beginning, and you and I had many conversations about this, and that was the unknowingly. I mean, we were adopting those modern technologies to improve, efficiency and productivity and all those marketing buzzwords. But to see it actually in action is pretty incredible. So let me ask you, you mentioned you were moving machines. So did you actually move Paramount Acceptance machines into home offices, and that was part of that security layer? Was there any BYOD that you had to deal with?
No, we wanted with the call center staffs. Well, I guess back to the knowingly and the unknowingly, right? Like IT for a long time has had the ability to work remote. And we've always kind of been the guinea pigs there. And we have to do it for IT specifically very securely, whether that's a VPN or what, however someone decides to do that. So we've been testing and looking at things that way, making sure the firewalls and the connection, all of those things were up to par and up to snuff. So when it came time to send the call center staff to work from home, we wanted control over those machines, and we didn't want to do that in a way that compromised the privacy of our employees necessarily having to use their own machines. So as a result, we basically packed up their machines that they had in the call center floor. And in the process of that, we implemented MFA, multi-factor authentication, so that when they dialed in, that's such an old term, when they connected to the
1990s.
I know, right? when they connected to the office and the network there at the office or at our data center, for IT, that they were doing so in a secure manner. So multi-factor authentication, we implemented that in this move for the call center staff going from home. Of course, there's the Active Directory and group policies that we've got to have in place on the machines, our tech support staff with their remote access technologies to be able to get in and troubleshoot and look at those machines, getting all that fired up as well. Yep. So security, of course, top of mind. We rolled out MFA in that process, and that actually went fairly smoothly. The challenge is the education in that process, because the call center staff was not used to that process and what it looks like, and so having to build some training materials and get that out to the supervisors and the managers in the operations group, and then they would work with their people to get that figured out. And then, of course, escalation. If they can't figure it out, that's where we generate tickets for our tech support team and our network admin to be able to help in that process.
Sure. Yeah, that's a tough struggle, because change creates impact to the organization, but you can't let that impact reduce productivity. I mean, you still have to keep moving forward. Yeah. So thank you again. I wish you well, and stay safe and remain healthy.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you.